Time check on Tobago updates is brought to you by Flow, Tobago's newest fiber network.
This Christmas, speed is on us. Get up to 300 megabits per second of speed with our new Link Up Plus plan. Enjoy more speed, more channels, and free streaming for less. Plus, introducing Link Up More with up to 1 gig download speed. Download, stream, video calls, share memes, and more. Get free installation when you sign up in-store or online today at discoverflow.co.
Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning, good morning, morning, good morning, morning.
Good morning, Tobago, and welcome to Youth Wednesdays on the Tobago Updates Morning Show. We're joining you here live from the Port Mall in Scarborough, Tobago. And of course, it's Wednesday, the middle of the week, and we're here to give you that bit of youthful energy to spice up the remaining days. My name is Kaylee Lewis, and I am joined by
Dwayne Nurse. Good morning and welcome to Youth Wednesdays. And yes, it is beginning to look a lot like Christmas here on Tobago Updates. You know, I know we all love Christmas here. I'm not sure about Miss Nancy's, but you know, welcome to all our viewers who bring us on our various platforms, on YouTube, on Facebook, on Channel 102, on Amplifier. Good morning and welcome. And I am also joined by...
Good morning, Dwayne. Good morning, Kaylee. Dwayne, I am feeling the Christmas spirit. So good morning to all our viewers and season's greetings to you all. I am Natalia Nancis. I'll be joining Kaylee and Dwayne this morning to bring youthful vibe and vigor.
Yes, certainly, certainly. It's really beginning to feel like Christmas. Have you been hearing those Christmas carols and those Christmas tunes? You know, one of my favorite is I don't want a lot for Christmas.
Oh my,
Okay, Dwayne.
Wow. I don't know, I feel like I'm not hearing enough Christmas music being played throughout Tobago.
Yeah.
I mean, in Trinidad, when you're walking through town, it's Christmas music galore. Everywhere is Christmas music. But I mean, even though people aren't playing the Christmas music, I'm playing it for myself. I'm playing it in the car, I'm playing it when I'm home, I'm playing it everywhere. So I am definitely feeling the Christmas spirit. I feel the Christmas spirit all throughout the year, but most at Christmas time.
Right.
But there's this guy that serenades everybody uptown, Kaylee.
Who?
The guy who sells the plants and stuff.
I have no idea who that is.
You happen to be fortunate to be working very close to the gentleman.
Very, very close.
I have no idea
so
who this
good luck to you. Alright, so we're going to go over to news in 90 seconds with Natalia Nancis.
Thank you, Dwayne and Kaylee. Here is your news in 90 seconds. So Wednesday, 6 December 2023, brought to you by B-Mobile. It's a Christmas season with B-Mobile. The United National Congress is urging the Prime Minister to disclose the Commission of Inquiry report on the Paria diving tragedy, which claimed 4 lives and left 1 survivor in February 2022. The report was delivered to President Christine Kangaloo and is expected to contain recommendations from Chairman of the Commission of Inquiry, Jeremy Lynch. Opposition leader Kamala Prasad-Bissessa voiced concerns about potential suppression of the report and criticized the government's spreading on the report without aiding affected families. She urged the Prime Minister to immediately make the report public, stressing the need for transparency to prevent similar incidents. Seem to be having some technical difficulties.
Right.
Okay, so while we wait for them to sort that out, I think we should get into our birthdays for this morning.
Oh yes, certainly, certainly. And this morning we have 2 birthdays. First we have Adore, Mr. Adore.
Ada. Yeah, is it Ada?
Yes,
It's
happy.
Adaway.
Adaway.
Adaway. Happy birthday to you, Adaway, from Auntie Kim, Auntie Ria, Omari, and the entire Richardson George family.
All right. And finally, we have birthday greetings going out to Alana Sukia. Good morning and happy birthday goes out to you. And that is our birthdays for today. We're going to go back to news in 90 seconds.
We do apologize for the technical difficulties. The United National Congress is urging the Prime Minister to disclose the Commission of Inquiry report on the Paria diving tragedy, which claimed 4 lives and left 1 survivor in February 2022. The report was delivered to President Christine Kangaloo and is expected to contain recommendations from Chairman of the Commission of Inquiry, Jeremy Lynch. Opposition leader Kamala Persad-Bissessar voiced concerns about potential suppression of the report and criticized the government's spreading of the report, the inquiry, without aiding affected families. She urged the Prime Minister to immediately make the report public, stressing the need for transparency to prevent similar incidents. Head of the Law Department at the University of Guyana, Dr. Kim Kite-Thomas, urged nations, including CARICOM, to pressure Venezuela's leadership against invading Guyana's resource-rich Essequibo region. At a symposium on Venezuela's referendum, Kite-Thomas stressed diplomatic solutions and immediate international intervention, highlighting the breach of international law by Venezuela's actions. Kite-Thomas condemned Venezuela's behavior as bullying and advocated proactive measures to prevent further aggression. Meanwhile, Trinidad and Tobago's Foreign and CARICOM Affairs Minister, Dr. Amy Brown, affirmed CARICOM's close monitoring of the dispute and Trinidad and Tobago's support for CARICOM on the issue. Congratulations to the exceptional young Tobagonians who showcased their talents at the National Youth Parliament on December 4th, 2023. Special applause to Ms. Jada Charles for securing the Best Debater title and Mr. Luke James Trim for earning an honorable mention. Kudos to representatives from Signal Hill Secondary School, Goodwood Secondary, Tobago Updates, Tobago Youth Council, University of the Southern Caribbean, and Trinidad and Tobago Youth Ambassadors. Ms. Jada Charles served as the MP for Tobago West and Minister of Sports and Community Development, while Mr. Luke Trim represented as the MP for San Fernando West and the Attorney General. And this was your news in 90 seconds, brought to you by B-Mobile. It's a Christmas season with B-Mobile.
News in 90 seconds was brought to you by B-Mobile. It's a Christmas season with B-Mobile.
This Christmas we celebrating, cause B-Mobile they coming with rating. So brace yourself for plenty prizes, cause this season will be your nice day. It's the most deals and the most vibes and the most cars and the most price, the most giveaways, the most para. Having a Christmas season with B-Mobile. I want a Christmas season with B-Mobile. Bring me sorry, let me toast to a Merry Christmas. Having a Christmas season with B-Mobile.
Top up, buy a plan, sign up, or pay your bills. Enjoy the best Trinbago Christmas. B-Mobile. Life is on.
All right, so we want to give you the rundown for this morning. And first on our list, we have to have the discussion is Mr. Walter Stewart, President of the PT of the Trinidad and Tobago PT Association, the Parent and Teachers Association. Secondly, the Trinidad and Tobago Youth Parliament 2023 20th Annual Debate, and we're going to be interviewing Jada Charles and Luke Trim. And next we have Rise in School Violence. We're going to have PC Damon Mills and WPC Corbin Clark. And finally, Duvon Stewart's documentary premiere. And we're going to be discussing with Mr. Duvon Stewart and Mark Lucan. And that is our rundown for this morning. I hope you stay tuned. I hope you're interested. And I hope you also remember to share the live, share the live, share the live. We'll be right back.
suffering with Amplia. We winning with Amplia. We binging with Amplia. We winning with Amplia. Sign up now for 50% off plus a chance to win over $100,000 in prizes. Call 800-4663.
Don't be fearful or ignorant about diseases. The opportunity to learn how to effectively work with or even reverse sicknesses is here. Do you know someone that is suffering from an illness? You are invited to come and learn in this in-depth, hands-on training program. Call this number and reserve your space in this God-inspired, hands-on medical missionary training program going on in Tobago. See you there.
Jimmy's Holiday Resorts has 1, 2, and 3 bedroom, fully self-contained apartments located at the heart of Crown Point. Minutes walk to the popular beaches, restaurants, bars, and the airport. Enjoy our amazing amenities such as fully equipped apartments, complete with Wi-Fi, AC, TV, and a pool, and a mini-mart on the compound. Call 639-8292 or 8929. Jimmy's Holiday Resorts is your family's home away from home.
Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning, good morning, morning, good morning, morning.
Viewers and good morning, viewers, and welcome back. Youth Wednesdays here on the Tobago Updates Morning Show. This morning we're chatting with Mr. Walter Stewart, and he's the president of the Parent Teachers, the National Parent Teachers Association of Trinidad and Tobago. Good morning to you, Mr. Stewart.
Good morning, and thank you for having me, and of course to your viewership and listenership. I don't feel like a youth, but it's good to be on your youth program this morning. Season's greeting.
All right. Same to you. Young at heart, we could argue about that. You know,
Very
we've
good.
been seeing a lot of, well, we've seen 2 videos in the Tobago space emanating from 2 known high secondary schools on the island. You know, what is your take on this matter in terms of school violence? You know, is there a surge? Is there a need to be concerned?
Yeah, certainly. You are so correct. There has been an upsurge in deviant behavior amongst our school students. And of course, I've said this repeatedly, that the NPTA takes a zero tolerance approach when it comes to school violence. And we do not condone it. And we want to ensure that our schools, through the administration, take all necessary punitive action to ensure that these students who are involved in deviant behavior are made examples so that the rest of the school would not want to follow suit. Zero tolerance behavior, zero tolerance approach, when it comes to deviant indiscipline at our schools.
But Mr. Stewart, some persons may argue that there isn't necessarily a rise in school violence. It's just the availability of social media, you know, being able to take videos with phones and sharing it, because we have a lot of school violence going on.
Oh, yes.
I mean, since we were in school, I may want to argue every day, but I think some persons may be able to argue that it's probably the increase in the usage of cellular phones in school that is making it seem or painting a picture that there's a rise in school violence. What are your thoughts on that situation?
And you are so correct on that score, because this ubiquitous device called a cell phone has really exposed all of us, teachers, parents, the whole world actually, with what is taking place, as it were, and has been taking place for years. Because had it not been for the video of that particular or those particular incidents in the 2 schools in Tobago recently, we would not have been made aware publicly as to what is taking place in schools. So whilst there has been school violence as far back as even when I was in school, the awareness and the sensitivity of such actions are now coming to the fore by use of the cellular phones.
All right. And what are your thoughts, though, given that cellular phones, in comparison to then and now, is ubiquitous, as you would put it. Do you see it as a necessary approach to ban cellular phones? Given that the world in all its spheres are progressing in a particular trend, given the importance of technology, do you see that as a necessary approach?
Well, my take on this, and this is not the PTA's view, this is my personal take on this particular matter. In my secular field of work, as an insurance agent, I have all my clients' information on my phone. Other than that, if there was not a cellular phone, I have to restore or I have to go back to my the manual system, get into the office and getting the client's files and seeing all their information. In real time, I can pull up any client and get all their information with regards to their particular policy. This cellular phone is a means of helping our students, used wisely, is a means of helping our students to be able to propel them into greater pastures, educational pastures, and being able to do the requisite research to enhance their learning capabilities. So it is a necessary evil, I would want to say, because of course it's being used for good and for bad. So that whilst I would want to encourage our students to use our phones wisely, suffice it to say that some of our students do not see the need to use it for that particular purpose and would rather use it for other nefarious purposes. And that is what we are denouncing. So, yes, I would want to encourage our students to continue using this device called a cellular phone, but make sure that it is used for the purpose of educational knowledge and capabilities.
Yeah, one follow-up. Given the fact that violence is something that we all try to mitigate against, do you feel that teachers are tasked now to further deal with children who are coming possibly from homes that might be the root cause of these violence, and what measures in place from your perspective could be implemented, or intervention rather, to mitigate against the manifestation of these violent children in this space?
Excellent question. From the parent standpoint, my father was a headmaster in those days at a school, and he viewed his duties as a headmaster, a principal, as a community leader. In other words, he was able to get to all parents because he was from a community school in the rural areas. And of course, he was able to get to all these parents and to understand their social situations and their psychological means as well. This is probably the catalyst. This is probably the time where we need to put our teachers out there to further engage our parents in a meaningful way in order to understand some of the circumstances our students are now facing, even at the home and in the community. But of course, we are always reactionary rather than being proactive. And of course, even if we start an engagement of parents and teachers in a more meaningful way at the primary school level, we can understand the background, the root causes, to use your terminology, the root causes of some of these psychosocial behaviors facing our children. And of course, be able to deal with them through our social workers, through our many agencies that are out there in order to assist and, of course, to mitigate some of the school violence taking place at the primary and, of course, the secondary level. So we have to reach our children at the primary school level through their parents in order to understand the background from which some of these children originate.
Okay, and Mr. Stewart, do you have any ideas in terms of what specifically the National Parent-Teacher Association has planned to get some of these things action? Because, I mean, if it is we want to engage parents, teachers, and the students, I'm not certain how difficult that will be. What specifically does the NPTA have planned?
Well, this new executive, I have the pleasure to lead, is just about 3 weeks old. But at the first executive meeting that I chaired, I brought before the 13-member executive a 16-point plan. And on that 16-point plan is a national parenting program. We believe that the nation needs to know how to parent our children. And I use the point all the time. When I became a parent 30 odd years ago, there was no manual outside there telling me how to parent my child. So I had to learn from, of course, my parents. I had to learn from other people in the in my family circles and in the community how to properly parent my child. We want to attack this even at the school level, because make no joke about it, our students are involved in sexual activity. So that there is the potential there, because you're involved in sexual activity, to become a parent. So once there is the mere potential to become a parent, that is where we need to start. We also want to take this parenting program into the postnatal arena, for example, or health centers. The mother who is 6 months old pregnant, mother who is 7 months old pregnant, needs to understand the responsibility that is facing her when she does give birth to a newborn. And of course, take this into our primary schools, to our parents, take this into our secondary schools, to our parents, into the tertiary level, take it throughout the byways and highways of Trinidad and Tobago, telling our parents or advocating with our parents the need to adopt a greater sense of responsibility as a parent. And of course, that is one of the ways that the National Parenting Association is going to attack this whole problem of parenting amongst our parents in Trinidad and Tobago, the National Parenting Program.
All right. I want to thank you very much, Mr. Stewart, for joining us this morning and shedding some light as to the direction of...
Let me just say in particular, I want to make this point very emphatically, that whilst there's school violence in our schools, I want the media, and of course you guys could probably help us, focus the attention on the success stories in our schools. I have a myriad of stories taking place at the Beacon on the Hill, called the Signal Hill Secondary School. And it's strange that some of these successes do not plaster on our front pages of our media and not highlighted in the media. So I want the media, please, even as we approach the end of this term, to focus on the success stories taken every day. Something fantastic is happening in our schools. And of course, probably our attention needs to be more focused on that, both in the mainstream and the social media, rather than highlighting and focusing on the negatives. Thank you.
Certainly. I want to thank you again, Mr. Stewart, for joining us this morning on such a discussion. We're going to go over to Kim and remember to
share the live, share the live, share the live. We'll be right back.
At JK Tech, we bring technology to your doorstep. From cutting-edge laptops to reliable printers, we've got it all. Nationwide delivery and a new website for easy online ordering. JK Tech is your one-stop shop for your electronics and computer needs. Carrying top brands such as Acer, Samsung, HP, and much more. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram at JKTechTT or visit jktechtt.com. Quality tech is just a click away. JK Tech. Evaluate your shopping experience, your tech, your way. Call or WhatsApp 383-2651. Shop smart, shop JK Tech.
The Division of Settlements, Public Utilities and Rural Development has relocated its Crown Point office to Glen Road in Scarborough to better serve you, our clients. Our main office is located at the corner of Glen Road and Glen Road Branch Number 1, the building formerly occupied by Coastal. Our grant and electrical inspectorate services can be accessed at Number 2 Montessori Drive in Glen Road, Building 1 and 2.
Rotisserie, mouth-watering fries, salads, combos, and specials galore. Feeling for something to eat? Come and see. Our rotisserie is seasoned to the T. Kicking chicken, masala, and jerk roast. Crispy fries made from scratch. Who do you know can't beat that? Or salads freshly cut and packed. When you taste it, you'll be wanting to come back. So come check us out on number 2 Robinson Street, Uptown Scarborough, Tobago. We open on Saturday nights from 7:30 to 11:30 p.m. Monday to Thursday, we're open from 10 a.m. to 9:30 p.m. and on Friday, 10 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. Contact us at 772-7443 and all social media handles at The Rotisserie Factory.
Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning, good morning, morning.
Good morning, viewers, and welcome back. It's Youth Wednesdays here on the Tobago Updates Morning Show, and this morning we're chatting with one of our youth parliamentarians, our top debater, Miss Jada Charles. Good morning to you, Jada.
Good morning,
and how are
Tilly.
you doing?
I am doing great. How are you?
I am fine, thank you. Thanks for asking. Okay, Jada, so how do you feel to be called the top debater at the 20th annual Youth Parliament?
Kelly, I don't know. It's still surreal. I'm still in shock. I'm extremely happy that, I was able to come out on top, but I'm still in shock. I'm still reeling over the entire experience.
Okay. And speaking of your experience, what was your experience like from training to the in-person sessions, the actual debates? Tell us a little bit about that.
Okay, so it was definitely a new environment. I've never done something like that before. I would say the coordinators and everyone involved, they really took their time to ensure that we really knew the processes of Parliament. They ensured that we understood the standing orders and the laws and how to debate and stuff like that. So it was very interesting to be in that type of environment and learn something new. And overall, I would say that the experience was very enlightening. I learned a lot and I met a lot of new people. I gained some friends, So it was a very good experience overall.
Okay. And in terms of the actual day of the debate, walk us through what that was like.
I don't think that nobody wasn't nervous. I feel like, there was a lot of tension because the pressure was real. We had practices before, but nothing like that. We were in front of a live audience. We were live online, It had a lot of important and distinguished persons looking on at us. So the pressure was really felt. I would say that I was very nervous. Even up until I stood up, I was very nervous. I was shaking. And all in all, I'm happy that, I was able to present well, and everyone, I think, did an excellent job. So I was really happy. The debate, it ran very smooth, I would say. I think the discussions were very beneficial to the audience. It's a topic that is, it's something that should be spoken about more because it does affect a lot of students. So I'm happy that we were able to put it in the public view.
Okay, wonderful, wonderful. And in terms of what you are looking to do going forward, because you said that this is something that you would have done for the very first time.
Yeah.
Is it something that you want to continue doing? What does the future look like for Jada Charles in terms of Parliament, debating, politics? What is that like, or are you still deciding?
Well, it's definitely aligning with my career path. I'm interested in becoming an attorney. So this was good practice, being able to debate, and I have a great passion for advocacy. So I hope to get more involved into programs like this one. And I love being a voice for the youth, and I want to work alongside more like-minded young persons. So I'm interested to see what the future holds, but I hope it's more stuff like this.
Great. So we're definitely seeing Jada out there some more. And when you were called on to be the top debater, How did you feel? Because I saw your face. I saw your face. And you looked so shocked.
Yes.
You were really shocked. You were walking up there and you shocked. So walk us through that experience. What was that like?
It still does not feel real. I remember hearing them call the second place, tiebreakers, and I said, wow, there were so many great debaters, it was really hard. So I remember when they called, I looked at Denisha and I was like, what? But all in all, after I watched over the debate and stuff, there were a lot of great speakers, and I'm happy that I was able to come out on top. It was still crazy, but it's a great feeling, actually. Yeah.
And tell us about some of the things that you would have spoken about in your contribution.
So we were on the government side. I was on the government side. I know you were on the opposite. But we had to argue in favor of retaining the SCA, and some of the arguments that were put forth by the opposition, they didn't have what I would say quantum or evidence to justify their argument. So it was really easy for the government to really just talk about the policies and the programs that are in place in Trinidad and Tobago that have been instituted to help struggling students with the SCA. And I'm really happy that we were able to point it out and, kind of alert the public that these things exist. There are grants, there are programs, there are after-school sessions that are garnered and towards students being able to learn more, and students who are struggling to be able to get that assistance. So during my speech, I would have spoken about the remedial education policy and the vacation revision program, which started in 2023, and it's an annual thing that is continuing. So it's there to assist students that are struggling and provide assistance for teachers. It's 5 weeks of rehabilitative learning for those who have scored under 50% and are looking to go into secondary school, to kind of catch them up on, stuff that would be important for them to learn in secondary school.
Okay, and I believe there are some pictures and videos that we want to share with the viewing public, so you're going to take a look at that now. Oh, here is Jada with MP Esmond Ford collecting her award and certificates. And here she is collecting her prize for top debater with Mr. Nigel De Freitas, our very own here from Tobago. Jada again. Okay, and here is myself, Mr. Luke James Trim, and Jada Charles. Jada with MP Shamfaka Joe. Shamfaka Joe Lewis. Okay, and I think those are all the pictures that we have to share with the public for this morning. Jada, we want to thank you so much for coming on and chatting with us. Congratulations again, and continue to do the excellent work. We are so very proud of you here at Tobago Updates. For the persons who don't know, Jada was representing Tobago Updates. They had 2 representatives, and Jada was them, and she did exceptionally well. And Jada, we are so extremely proud of you, and keep up the excellent work.
Thank you.
Viewers, we're going to take a short break. Remember to stay tuned and share the live, share the live, share the live.
Tobago Glass Supplies has been a leading name for over 37 years in the glass and aluminum market in Tobago. We provide an extensive range of high-quality, innovative aluminum and glass products for commercial and residential use. Competitive prices with superior and professional services by committed employees who are guided by rigid quality standards. Tobago Glass Supplies specializes in the manufacture and installation of glass and aluminum products that are essential to today's homeowners and the business environment. We are engaged in marketing, sales, and installation of a variety of products. These ranges from windows and doors to necessities such as mirrors for homes and vehicles, designed and manufactured in-house or imported.
guys, welcome. Come have a seat.
Oh, this is so stylish, and I love the fabric. Darlings, you must tell us where you got your new furnishings.
We got them locally at Standard. They've got new chic European furniture, crafted from high quality material.
Oh, Standard?
No, it's Standard, their brand new Hive collection.
Experience luxurious European furniture at a price you will love. The Hive Collection, now exclusively available at Standard.
It's a different type of thing down there. And we party till we drop down there. With a lot of pretty girls down there. Down in Tobago.
Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning, good morning, morning, good morning, morning.
And continue on this morning at Tobago Updates, our Youth Wednesdays. We are joined with, continuing our program this morning, we are joined with PC Damian Mills of the TTPS and WPC Corbin Clark of the TTPS. They are here from the Victorant. Well, they now have a branch, the school intervention team, and they'll be touching a little bit on bullying this morning. This morning we touched on the rising violence, so now they're going to take us through the legalities of it all, TTPS's role in it, right? So the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service for insight on what TTPS is, right? So for those viewing, bullying is unwanted aggression towards someone else, right? It's mostly done among school students, and that is what we are going to talk about, right? So for my first question, we oftentimes hear the term called the police. What does the legal system actually have in place for things like this?
Okay, so good morning and thank you for talk to the public. The legal system in relation to bullying, the first thing I would like to mention is that in Trinidad and Tobago, there is currently no legislation against the term bullying. For something to become a law, it has to be legislated, meaning that there has to be a definition placed or affixed to the term in itself and legislated and put out there into the public space. All right? But be that as it may, that does not mean that there isn't anything that can be done. When we go to schools and so on and we talk to the parents at the PTA meetings, we tell them that police station and you make a report of bullying, what would normally happen is that the report is forwarded to the community policing department. They would now seek an intervention at the school, or the report would be forwarded to the special victims department, schools intervention team, my team, our team, and we would go to the school, have an intervention meeting and so on. However, some parents would like to know in terms of the legal aspect, what can be done legally. And so in law, there is a particular piece of legislation that is called the Offences Against Persons Act, Chapter 1108. Now, if you were to look at the Offences Against the Persons Act from Section 27 all the way down to Sections 30A and 30B, and you were to put that piece of legislation, it took parallel next to the term under Section A about harassment. And under Section 30A, harassment, there are 7 subparagraphs that outline what actions that a person can put another to be to deem it harassment. And bullying, basically, when you look at the parameters of bullying and you look at the parameters of harassment, they are basically the same. So I say to parents, when you go to the police station, we need to remove the term bullying from our vocabulary if we really want something to be done. And we need to let the police know that, listen, my child has been harassed or is being harassed at school. Harassment is a criminal offense, and as such, it must be dealt with as such. Find out from your child what is happening or what has happened, and you need to let the police know exactly what has been happening. For example, from Section 27, as I mentioned earlier, talks about assault and all the different various types of assaults, assault, a wound, grievous bodily harm, and all of these things can be dealt with by way of the court. Now, we're talking about children. And so the first approach is not usually or is not recommended to be of a punitive nature. The approach in dealing with children, we will recommend take a three-pronged approach, meaning, and in this order, preventative. So we want to establish preventative methods. If prevention does not work, then we go to the punitive, meaning children must be taught and they must be made to understand that they can and will be held accountable for their actions. There are consequences to actions. We often talk about Newton's third law. I like to apply physics to life. They say that math is in everyday, is in everyday life. Right? And Newton's third law talks about to every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. We need to let children know that they can be charged from as early as age 7. Right? The law provides for the different ages and how those ages are to be treated with. So the punitive. And after the punitive, then we go now to the restorative aspect of things. When we deal with children at schools, I love to give and we love to give assignments. Right? So for example, a school fight, you would now have to go to the police station, look up this said law, Act Chapter 1108, the Offences Against the Persons Act, study it, and prepare for us a well-written essay. And at the end of the essay, you will now have to give your reflections in going forward. What have you learned, and how would you now change from being an aggressor to someone now that supports positive conflict resolution?
So if they thought they were getting away from the homework in school, they actually have homework at the police station.
Of course, we usually give homework because you see, when children do research and so on, they learn, and what they learn will tend to stick.
Okay.
All right, especially in relation to the law. The law is there. Of excuse, ignorance basically is a matter of choice, because when laws are passed, they are put into the public space, and so because they are in the public space and they are so easy to acquire, persons not knowing, basically, the state cannot be held accountable because it's put out there. The onus is on you. You cannot be abiding by a law that you do not know exists.
Okay.
All right?
So you mentioned what your team would do to bring the student back to where they need to be, given that they have been charged for harassment. Right. So what steps should a teacher take? To what extent would it go to, where the teacher would have to make the report to the police station?
Right. So the first thing we would like to let the teachers know is that bullying must not be tolerated in any way, form, or fashion. When we speak to children, when we lecture to children, children will oftentimes get up and say, "Officer," and we are hearing this too many times, "Officer, we complain to Miss, we complain to Sir, and nothing is being done." When a child recognizes that they are making a complaint, they have a problem, nothing is being done, they are not going to be thinking about taking matters into their own hands.
But what about when teachers, they give discipline, yes, but then the child realizes this discipline done with and I could go back to what I'm doing. So what in that situation, what do you all do?
When you say discipline, what do you mean in terms of, okay, discipline can be, as I mentioned before, punitive, as well as it can be coming from the standpoint of the school. The schools have their protocol in dealing with bullying, in dealing with school violence, and so on. So it would depend as in relation to whether or not the discipline would come from the legal or the law aspect as opposed to the school's aspect. All right? There must be a consequence. And so what teachers can do, get involved immediately. You need to find out, when a report is made to you, find out what is happening, what has been happening, or what has happened. Assure that child that, listen, I heard your information, I took your information, I noted your information, and we are going to try our very best to ensure that you are alleviated as to in relation to this problem. A lot of times we have school fights because something happened, and as a result of something happening to a child, that child retaliates. There's an equation that we have established that we tell children about, and my colleague smiled because we love to tell children about that equation, right? Action plus reaction equals altercation, right?
Okay.
So when you have an action, that action would now foster a reaction. So the reaction could either be positive or negative. You being the one to put forward the reaction, we have to teach them to let it be positive. So teachers can create safe classroom environments by educating children about these things, how to react, emotional intelligence. We should teach them how to not allow their emotions to govern their actions, because there are consequences towards our actions. You do something good, the consequence that will follow will be good. You do something bad, the consequence will be bad.
And if I may add to my colleague,
sure.
One of the things that we encourage teachers to do is to educate themselves about what the law says as it relates to the Offences Against a Person Act. Because one of our main role and functions is going to schools and organizations and churches who may have us to speak on these legislations so they get a better knowledge of whether an offense has been committed, because at the school level they will take the incident first, do their initial investigation, and once they identify that a criminal act took place, then is when they will contact us. But oftentimes we need them to know, because once they know, then they'll be able to say, well, this is under the remit of the TTPS and this is what we need to do. But that doesn't negate that they will suspend the student or take the necessary action that they have to take. But of course, the matter is then referred to us when it is they recognize and they identify, and they only do that because our team has been vigorous in going to every secondary, primary, and even preschools on the island of Tobago to allow teachers to know that information. So we speak specifically on the Offences Against the Person Act, we speak on the Children's Act number 12 of 2012, and the Domestic Violence Act, 3 major acts that speaks to abuse and violence and all these things.
Yes, and you said that you all are trying to touch on every school on the island. So in a case where this may not be possible, is this information available to the public? As in the acts and the laws, everything?
Yeah, definitely. One can utilize the World Wide Web. If one were to go on Google and type in, we always advise persons, when you type in the name of the law or the act, be sure to put Trinidad and Tobago, because there are several similar acts out there in the on the worldwide space. All right, so for example, the Children's Act 12 of 2012, Trinidad and Tobago, usually the first option that appears or comes up in PDF format. It's free to download. At the end of every page you would see unofficial version. It means that is the version for the public. It's not the version that comes directly from the law volume. It's just a copy, right? But the copies of every act, once they are legislated and passed and put into the public space, it's available on the World Wide Web. Likewise, there might be persons that are in preference of the physical copies, and so any person can go to any government printry and pay a very small fee and acquire their own personal copy, hard copy. It can be printed, photocopied, shared. So because we tell people about these particular aspects of legislation, inclusive of the Sexual Offences Act. When we go to schools, we try to ensure that all the teachers are brought up to speed. They are educated in relation to the acts that my colleague would have mentioned a while ago: the Children's Act, the Sexual Offences Act, the Offences Against the Persons Act, the Domestic Violence Act. We should know about the parameters and the laws that are contained and that are enshrined within these pieces of legislation, so that we'll be better informed and able to make the right decisions in going forward where the law is concerned. Once we get the information and we get the right information, we will now be able to assist in the best way possible to try to alleviate whatever is the discomfort. At the end of the day, the school must be a safe environment where children can be afforded the privilege to learn in a comfortable and safe space.
All right. And I do agree with you there. You leave the home and you want to focus on learning and not have to deal with the acts of bullying at recess time or lunchtime or whenever. Yes, so I do agree with you there. Physically, children are lashing out, right? You mentioned the emotional turmoil behind the lashing out, right? So from your experience when visiting and stuff like that, dealing with the children whenever they are presented to the police station and stuff like that, what psychological issues are you oftentimes met with?
There are many. For example,
measures in ensuring that the children receive what we call a holistic approach to how they will treat with issues and challenges.
So the gaps are bridged between the TTPS, between the psychologists, between the parents, between the teachers. There's no space left there for uncertainty at all. The team is set up in such a way. I love that. All right. So we mentioned the emotional damage. We're going a little bit back to the physical damage that this causes. Now, as recently as last week, there was a video circulating from one of our high schools, right? A young lady was bullied, I should say, in the classroom. The video was circulated on social media, as I said. A lot of blame has been put on the teachers for lack of supervision. What do you all say toward that? Do you agree that the teachers did indeed lack in responsibility for supervision?
That situation that you just mentioned is currently being actively investigated, and as such, we would not be able to speak on that just yet, pending the outcome, following which the necessary action, if any, will be taken. Nevertheless, what we will say is that in relation to the Children's Act 12 of 2012, persons might not be aware that sections 56 and 57 are quite clear. In particular, 57, section 57 of Act 12 of 2012. And when I say 57, section 57, I'm talking about that particular section that talks about having responsibility. So it mentions parents, guardians, and now persons with responsibility. Persons with responsibility covers everybody except the parents, or in addition, I should say, to the parents, for example, teachers, daycare operators, group leaders, for example, training, sport training, music, whatever you have. Wherever children are and there are persons responsible for the care of these children, that particular piece of legislation, that act, says where a child is convicted of an offense, the court, by virtue of this particular piece of legislation, may call upon such person, meaning the parent, guardian, or person with responsibility, to give due reason and due information as to whether or not the necessary care and supervision was afforded in order to avoid that child from committing that offense which he or she has now so been convicted of. So in other words, if you fail to supervise a child adequately and that child commits an offense and is convicted of that offense, in addition to that child being fined, you will be called into question and asked, and you will have to give reasonable answers and reasons why that child was not supervised and why due care was not afforded in relation to that child to prevent such an act in the first place. Remember, we are dealing with children. We are talking about children. There must never be a situation where a child is left unsupervised. And so this law speaks to that. We have, in our rapport and in our visits at the schools and so on, we have observed that there are schools where children are afforded an unhealthy amount of free time. An unhealthy amount of free time on their hands. And the good book says that foolishness is bounded up in the heart of a child, but the rod of correction will drive it far away from them. I believe that the rod there talks about leadership, right? Responsibility, care, guidance, and instruction by those that have been placed in a position to lead our children and guide them. So persons can come into face legal ramifications if they were supposed to be supervising children. They have not been doing that. Those children committed crimes and are now convicted of those crimes. You may be called to question and to answer why these children were not adequately supervised. You will have to prove, had these children been supervised, would this offense have occurred? Would this crime, would this act would have occurred, and so on. That's Section 57 of 12 of 2012. Section 56 talks about children committing crimes. They can be fined, and in being fined, the court may call upon their parents, guardians, or persons with responsibility. I am stressing on the persons with responsibility, because oftentimes you go out there and you believe, and persons believe, that a child should be the responsibility of their parents. If they do something wrong, only go and talk to their parents. That is not how it is. If you're responsible for the child, then you will have to face those questions.
All right, thank you very much. And in wrapping up, I'm so sorry about the short time that we have. It's a very interesting topic. I hope that we can come back to it later on. But in wrapping up, what advice can you give to the parents of those who are bullied and the parents of bullies, because we can't leave them out, on going forward? How do they stop bullying?
One thing we ask parents to do is to look at children, look for the signs. They must identify whether or not there's a change in that child. And it's important that once you identify that something is going on with your child, to seek the necessary help. As officers, we are located at the Chevron Road Police Station and at Roxborough Police Station. They can contact us at 639-8246. Speak to any one of our officers available. There we provide advice to them as to the way forward, and we ask them to act on it, because we often find that children who are labeled as bullies were once bullied, and so it's very important that they pay attention. We ask them to partner with us as officers. Don't see us as we wear plain clothes in our section, and that's for a reason. The children interact with us. Also, have conversations with your children. Don't speak at them, but speak with them, and they will share. Because when we go into the school, a lot of the children share information with us, and they recognize us now as friends and not as foe. So we encourage the general public out there, if you see something, say something, and that will help us. And once we partner and we work together, there will be a massive change. And we are seeing that change because of the partnership that we currently hold with parents, with teachers, with all the stakeholders, the Division of Education. Everybody's on board. Now we need the students to get on board, and they can only get on board if we all speak the same language. And that's a zero tolerance policy on any form of violence, crime, bullying, harassment. We say zero tolerance, and once we act together and the children see that, then they will have to come into alignment and to conform.
All right, so thank you so much, WPC Corbin Clark and PC Damian Mills, for joining us this morning, telling us a little bit about our bridge gap between the police service, of course, and the schools in terms of harassment and bullying. Thank you so much once again for being on Tobago Updates.
And it was a pleasure being here.
Yes, thank you. We continue this morning with our Devon Stewart documentary premiere. Devon Stewart is a pianist, composer, arranger, and he'll be telling us a little bit about the documentary. All right, so for those of us still with us, continue to share the live, share the live, share the live.
Time check on Tobago Updates is brought to you by Flow, Tobago's newest fiber network.
This Christmas, speed is on us. Get up to 300 megabits per second of speed with our new Link Up Plus plan. Enjoy more speed, more channels, and free streaming for less. Plus, introducing Link Up More with up to 1 gig download speed. Download, stream, video call, share memes, and more. Get free installation when you sign up in-store or online today at discoverflow.co.
It brings us an immense sense of pleasure as we think of the families in Tobago that needs our partnership. It's really not about us. It's about helping the families on the screen who they visited only yesterday. It's about helping families that are vulnerable, and without the partnership, perhaps they will continue to live in the squalor of poverty housing, indecent housing, inadequate housing, unsafe housing. It started with visits, and it's going to end with people having keys, people understanding that when the rain is falling, it will not wet them in the beds, that they will have proper roofs on their houses, that we will lead a strategy that will help with mitigation, but beyond that, that we will build the capacities of our community in such a powerful way that even the youngster that is coming up that says, I want to do construction, that we make sure we enhance their capacities.
Under the umbrella of this arrangement, several initiatives targeting disaster mitigation, such as minor and emergency repair and reconstruction assistance grants, as well as community micro-projects and training programs, will be implemented. However, our first initiative will focus on resilient roofing and floor repairs, which will impact at least 40 families. Other projects are as follows: the implementation of participatory approach to safe shelter awareness PASA with rural communities. This initiative will facilitate the development of community action plans, which will identify priority projects and provide communities with the necessary support to successfully implement these plans, such as funding, training, and capacity development. 2. Building resilience to climate change in 3 coastal communities, as Ms. Messiah just said, by utilizing index use and GIS mapping. The promotion of rainwater harvesting and solar lighting initiative with rural communities. Our 5th project will provide low-cost option for low-income earners by improving living conditions and overall standards of living. We strive to uplift individuals and families in need.
This initial project, as envisioned by Habitat for Humanity, they are prepared to put into this project $1,445,000. I thought the director would have given the money, but $1.4 million from Habitat for Humanity for this program. And I wish to use this platform to say that the THA will match that dollar for dollar so that the project can go a much longer way in helping families. For the Home Ownership Made Equal program, the allocation in the budget was $3 million, and we are intent on taking it to $5 million. So it is $2 million more than what was allocated in the budget. I know you're hoping it could be 20 million, but as funds are available, we will see how much we can do. A home is not just a house. A home provides stability. A home provides security. A home provides a place where children can do homework safely at night. A home provides a learning environment where there isn't chaos, where you're not competing with the elements outside. A home means that your children that might now be vulnerable to predators outside because there are holes in the walls and there are breaches in the homes, those things are no more. A home means that your children have a sense of pride, of a place that they can come home to, a place that they can bring the friends across and they can play in the yard and so on. All of these things come with a home. There's a whole length of social benefits to be gained from having a home that is of value. And that's what we want to give to Tobagonians.
That was a production of the Department of Information, Office of the Chief Secretary, Tobago House of Assembly.
It's a brand new morning, rise up.
Good morning, viewers. Good morning, and welcome to Beneath the Surface on Tobago Updates Television. And we're happy to see the rain coming this morning, and good for the land and those like myself who in agriculture. But this morning we have a special guest with us, the Chief Secretary of the Tobago House of Assembly, Mr. Fali Chavez Augustine, and we have a lot to talk about this morning. And Chief Secretary, welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me.
I'm just told that I must just say welcome to the program and welcome you, and because we have to go back to the news in 90 seconds, and then we come back and kick off the big program this morning, chatting with the Chief Secretary of the Tobago House of Assembly, Honorable Chavez Augustine.
Thank you, Mr. McFarlane. News is brought to you by B-Mobile. It's a Christmas season with B-Mobile. The United National Congress is urging the Prime Minister to disclose the Commission of Inquiry report on the Paria diving tragedy, which claimed 4 lives and left 1 survivor in February 2022. The report was delivered to President Christine Kangaloo and is expected to contain recommendations from Chairman of the Commission of Inquiry, Jeremy Lynch. Opposition leader Kamala Persad-Bissessar voiced concerns about potential suppression of the report and criticized the government's spending on the inquiry without aiding affected families. She urged the Prime Minister to immediately make the report public, stressing the need for transparency to prevent similar incidents. Head of the Law Department at the University of Guyana, Dr. Kim Kite-Thomas, urged nations, including CARICOM, to pressure Venezuela's leadership against invading Guyana's resource-rich Essequibo region. At a symposium on Venezuela's referendum, Kite-Thomas stressed diplomatic solutions and immediate international intervention, highlighting the breach of international law by Venezuela's actions. Kite-Thomas condemned Venezuela's behavior as bullying and advocated proactive measures to prevent further aggression. Meanwhile, Trinidad and Tobago's Foreign and CARICOM Affairs Minister Dr. Amory Brown affirmed CARICOM's close monitoring of the disputes and Trinidad and Tobago's support for CARICOM on the issue. Congratulations to the exceptional young Tobagonians who showcased their talents at the National Youth Parliament on December 4th, 2023. Special applause to Ms. Jada Charles for securing the Best Debater title and Mr. Luke James Trim for earning an honorable mention. Kudos to representatives from Signal Hill Secondary School, Goodwood Secondary, Tobago Updates, Tobago Youth Council, University of the Southern Caribbean, and Trinidad and Tobago Youth Ambassadors. Ms. Jada Charles served as the MP for Tobago West and Minister of Sports and Community Development, while Mr. Luke Trim represented as the MP for San Fernando West and the Attorney General. And that was your news in 90 seconds, brought to you by B-Mobile. It's a Christmas season with B-Mobile.
News in 90 seconds was brought to you by B-Mobile. It's a Christmas season with B-Mobile.
This Christmas we celebrating, cause B-Mobile they coming with rating. So brace yourself for plenty prizes, cause this season will be the nice. It's the most deals and the most vibes and the most cars and the most price. The most giveaways, the most para. Having a Christmas season with B-Mobile. I want a Christmas season with B-Mobile. Bring the sorrow with us to a Merry Christmas. Having a Christmas season with B-Mobile.
Top up, buy a plan, sign up or pay your bills. Enjoy the best Trinbago Christmas. B-Mobile. Life is on.
Yes, folks, good morning again, and we're looking at Beneath the Surface this morning, as today we conclude the whole series of Beneath the Surface 2 years later with the Honorable Chief Secretary, Fali Augustine, here with me this morning. And it has been quite an interesting week, or 3 weeks of activities here doing this program. My name is Jerry McFarlane, and it was a pleasure doing this over the last 3 weeks, and the pleasure is even greater this morning when I have the Chief Secretary. Chief, I want to give you special thanks and thanks to the opportunity to be here with us this morning. And many people all around the world commenting on this program, and they're looking forward to see you. This program coming to you from Port Mall in Scarborough, Tobago, on the greatest little island on the planet.
That's right.
And we're selling this thing, I like the phrase, I like the mantra, and so on. And we have to talk a little bit more about this as the program develops.
Sure.
But welcome to the program. Any opening statements you want to make?
Thank you for having me. Good morning to you. Good morning, Tobago. And happy to be here this morning. And we're in the month of December, so we are just circling Tobago Day celebrations. The Tobago House of Assembly this week celebrated 43 years since 1980. So that's the modern Tobago House of Assembly. But we are essentially 144 years since Tobago was forcibly joined with Trinidad, 144 years ago. And that happened in November. Queen Victoria signed that declaration in November, and it took effect January 1 the following year. So it's a good time to be alive, I think. We, as an island, as a world, we came out of COVID-19, something my generation certainly has never seen. We have never experienced before any sort of epidemic to the extent, there was HIV/AIDS, which was an epidemic, but certainly it wasn't the type that forced economies to shut down and islands to shut down, and we lose so many families and so on. And I think as we bring to a close the year 2023, we can look back and say we are over that hurdle to a great extent. We no longer have lockdowns. Yes, there are still some lingering impacts, such as the fact that we still can't get the number of pre-COVID flights back and all of those things, but certainly insofar as our health, our wellness, social cohesion, our ability to socialize and interact with each other, we have certainly come a long way since 2021 to now. And if you recall, when we had the election campaign in 2021, we had to have very small meetings. We had to have social distancing. We didn't, at least in my party, we did not even have many community meetings. We kept it all stationary in one place, in a studio, night after night. But thank God for where we are. And I think as an island, it's a good time to pause and to say thanks to God for what He has done for us and how He has kept us between 2019 and now, between the onset of COVID-19 and now. So we're happy that we're over that hurdle.
Definitely. And, and to see how the assembly and the institution, the assembly itself, has been working through that period, and even the last 2 years, the number of things that you all have pursued and so on, coming after COVID, this big pandemic, that affected not just part of the world or part of the planet, but the entire world was affected by this thing, So it's good to see how we come out looking pretty good, battered and bruised, but not, defeated.
Correct.
In any significant way. And, I had the pleasure of interviewing all the members of the assembly on your side, on the government side, in the last couple of weeks. And, I must say that I was impressed with some of their contributions, how they look at life, how they came through as youngsters, grew up, became representatives eventually of the people. And one of the things that stood out for me in that discourse was the level of upbringing that all of them had. You saw and you actually felt and they experienced what we have here in Tobago as a quote where the village brought up a child. The village raised a child, fairly good parents. A lot of them were one parent children, children from one parent or helped by one parent, And I was really impressed. You ought to be proud that you have a group of assemblymen and councillors who really working their head and other parts off,
Well, the truth is, I am proud. I am proud that I have a team that is working tirelessly, working hard. And, I wish sometimes I could take a camera with me, especially on a Wednesday like today when, we will have exec council. and show what really goes into the day-to-day operations, the inner workings. And perhaps some of the hard working might be a result of inexperience, because of course I lead a team that is all new, relatively new to politics. At present, as a matter of fact, this current Tobago House of Assembly, I am the longest serving elected member of the Tobago House of Assembly, having been elected since 2017. This current one, and that is unheard of insofar as the Tobago House of Assembly over the last 43 years. So it's pretty much a very young and youthful house. And so that comes with all of the advantages. It comes with all of the energies, the excitement, the anxieties, the wanting to change the world in a minute, to snap your finger and get it done. But that also comes with sometimes the frustration of not getting it done as quickly as you want. It also comes with some of the missteps and mistakes that will naturally occur in trying to rush things, trying to get this done as fast as possible, and recognizing that sometimes speed isn't always there with efficiency, and so on, and that the public service is a whole other ball game that you have to just work with and work around and through, and all of those things. So yes, in short, I am very proud of the team, proud of what we have been able to accomplish so far. But notwithstanding my pride in what we have been able to accomplish so far, I want to go on public record, as challenging my team to do more, because what we have done so far is good, but I want us to do even better, to push for even better. And of course, that will call for some more sacrifices. It will call for some late nights, some more late nights. It will call for people to dig deeper, but we just have to. Because what I experience, especially with those town hall meetings, is that I experience people coming and complaining about problems that might be centuries old, problems that exist. People are coming to talk about roads and areas that I don't even know existed, but have been existing for as long as people have been alive on the island, begging for them to be fixed and so on. And of course, the challenge is, how do you in 2 years sometimes fix problems that pervades our society, or pervaded our society for 43 years. But it's a challenge I welcome, because I said to the public, we will fix this. Let me fix this. I said to the public, we'll find a way. The challenge with that catchphrase is that you get to realize that you can't fix everything at the same time or immediately. But what we have been able to fix so far, I think, has been tremendous. We have been putting in quite a bit of work. We have seen the wheels of the revolution turning on the island, so to speak. And so I am really looking forward to this calendar year that's coming January 1. I'm looking forward to all of the new and exciting things we will get to do that we have not been able to accomplish in the previous 2 years. And of course, it will be remiss of me not to acknowledge the fact that, I wish that during the 2 years we did not have some topsy-turvy moments, but we have had some topsy-turvy moments. I don't know if other governments would have succeeded those topsy-turvy moments that we have had. We have had two major ones. In the government that preceded mine, they had one topsy-turvy moment, and that led to the moving of our chief secretary. A new person come on stream, who get kicked out, who get kicked in, and all of that. And we, despite those two topsy-turvy moments, have been able to hold it together, keep a stable government, keep the island focused, keep laser focused on the island's development. And to me, that says a lot about the stability in governance and how focused we are in getting it right.
Yeah, and you're quite correct from what you just explained there. But we have a video that I really want to share with the public. I hope these guys have it ready. Let's take a look at that video, which I want to show at this point in time.
From being in youth leadership, it has taught me that one key aspect of leadership is being able or being willing to take risk and being committed to the risk that you take. And I would like to leave that advice with you tonight. And Mr. Chief Sec, you don't need to be afraid now, but a few more years, be afraid, because I'm coming for your job.
More than prophetic.
Well, it's more than prophetic, and you know, being a Christian, we talk about the power of life and death in the tongue. And you know, I was at the youth debate at the THA at the house last week, Friday, and then I paid attention to the debates that happened at the National Parliament, youth debates that happened at the National Parliament recently, and I look at all of these promising youngsters, and this might be a good opportunity to say to them that, you know, you guys have to come for my job. My navel string is not buried at Jerningham Street. but really and truly, it says that the fact that I am here, it says that Tobago can in fact be a place where people can self-actualize and live their dreams. And that's an important point, because Tobago perhaps has the highest rate of outward migration in the region, maybe beaten only by Jamaica based on numbers. But if you look based on anecdotal evidence, our outward migration rate is extremely high. There are more Tobagonians living off of the island and living on the island of Tobago. That's our reality. And a large part of that, from all of the studies I've seen, says that people feel as though they cannot self-actualize on the island of Tobago. I can't live out my dream on the island. And when we tie that into the fact that we do have a challenge with underemployment, meaning so many of our young, bright minds who go off, study, learn new skills, when they return, they don't get to work in the professions that they study for, because the island's economy is so small, the economies of scale is small, the government, though large in the context of Tobago, is relatively small, and so that results in people trying to find opportunities to self-actualize away from Tobago. And so when I tell people about the greatest little island on the planet, one of the tenets of that is that opportunity for people, for Tobagonians, to be able to live out their dream in Tobago, whatever that dream is. And so the fact that I could, so long ago, be awarded and recognized by the THA then for youth work and youth service, and say then, look, my dream is to become the Chief Secretary. And some years later, I'm able to achieve it. Says to me that indeed Tobago can be a place for people to self-actualize, for people to live out their dream. And that's a responsibility that I now have, the team I lead now have. Is something we're burdened with. We're not there yet, Jerry. We are not there yet. Because I will be pointed blank with you, telling you that too many of our people are underemployed. I can recall one of my Jamaican friends asking me if all I went to Tobago does teach. Because to him, all of his friends from Tobago were teachers. Everybody he knew from Tobago either taught or is teaching or will be a teacher. And I had to explain that, you know, in the context of a very small economy and a small private sector, most people with professional degrees on the island sort of end up streamlining into the teaching service. And if you look at so many of the politicians before me, they taught. Many of them were teachers, and that's because for the 43 years we have been here as a THA,
and the respect for the teaching profession,
for the teaching profession, it became the thing to do in the absence of other larger opportunities on the island. But it's something we just have to work on, and I hope sometime in the conversation we get to talk about things like our birth rate and what we need to do about that, how to get the economies of scale up, what we need to do in tourism so that we can superficially inflate the population size and all of those things. So I hope we get to some of those.
We're getting to that. I raised that with Faith yesterday. As a matter of fact, it's a serious thing that when it was brought to my attention, we have to do something and but we have to get the data.
Well, I could tell you some of the data now. The data we are seeing is that our birth rate is down by about 45%.
Yeah,
in
1,200.
Well, if you look between 2019 and now, and I looked at the data just this morning before coming here. That's one of the things I was reading through for my day of work. In 2019, our birth rate as an island was just over 800. So far for the year, we are at 437.
Yeah, a few years
every single year between 2019 and now, we have been dipping. We have been declining. That is a challenge. That's not a living community. We have a challenge the size of what Japan had some years ago. And so we have to come up with some creative measures, some of which will be announced in this month of December, as to how we can incentivize the population in terms of improving the growth rate. Because at that growth rate, we can't sustain our economy. At that growth rate, we'll have to go for outside workers pretty soon to get the job done. And I'm so sorry that I am not more helpful in terms of the numbers, the contribution to the birth rate. I'm at 1 and I feel like I'm at 10, right? But the truth is we have to incentivize the birth rate. And you have to understand too that with the shocks to the global economy, people are naturally finding it much more difficult to take care of children. With the social incidences that we're having, the increase in crime and security challenges and so on, people are really questioning how much children they should really have.
And in addition to that, there are issues of fertility issues,
their health issues.
Women,
so that's where I want the TRHA to go in terms of its data collection, not just give me the numbers, but to also look at what might be causing it, and doing some medical research to see if perchance a large part of that might not be medical as opposed to social. So while
and some people it's done by their decision. They want to be childless or so, and they do whatever is required.
And people are making children later. People are making children later.
Yeah, they don't want children to interfere with their level.
I joke that when it's time for daddy race, I go carry on because I am having a young baby with students of mine who have young babies. So imagine I go into daddy race and I have to run against the people I taught in school. I sure come last, But so people are making the decision as well to have children much later on in life, because there are things that we are doing as youngsters that our parents did not get the opportunity to do. We are going off and studying and doing all of these degrees and training and wanting to live in other places and experience other cultures. Our parents did not have that opportunity. Our parents just would domicile here, get children, get married as quickly, build a family, build a home, and see if you get a government work. That was the dream. But the dream has evolved quite a bit.
That what I want to talk to you about your bringing up as well, and how you balance your responsibility. First, how you grew up and the kind of community you came from, how that helped to raise you. And of course, we're going to come to how you balance this act with your new family, with all your responsibilities.
The truth is, Speyside has been the greatest village to me. I will always sing Speyside praises, and it's not because they have consistently supported me. Even if tomorrow Speyside decides not to support me, I will always give Speyside credit for raising me. And Speyside has its flaws, Trust me, we have our flaws. But you're talking about growing up in an area called Lucivale, growing up in a tiny wooden home that was my great grandparents' home, and then my father built one at the back of there, and then we demolished the old wooden home with the jealousy and so on. So my father first built a home out of ply, the groove ply. That's what we used at first, and Bill was just the upstairs. And in those early years, in fact, for most, if not all of my secondary years, I was telling some youngsters recently. I had a one-on-one with 5 boys recently, and I was telling them, I said, listen, for almost all of my secondary years, it was a latrine we used. I was taught in water, practically all. In fact, we got indoor plumbing an indoor toilet facility somewhere around 2002. And that was me now looking to exit sixth form. And I was making the point to them that on account of that, I never carried school friends home by me because, you know, you're ashamed of that. But outside of that space, that was a wonderful world. You're talking about the fisher folk who live nearby. Because of them, by the time I was 3 years old, I was swimming. In fact, if you go to Speyside during the July-August vacation, you will see youngsters 3 and 4 in the beach by themselves. I'm not sending Children Authority up there to lock up anybody. People not being irresponsible. But we learn to swim like very young. It's just like natural that we there. Being tossed out of a boat by a fisherman and saying, look, find your way in shore. Or sometimes you jump on the boat and you say you're going for a little ride to Little Tobago, a boat ride. And when you think the fisherman coming back and bringing you ashore, he come and he anchor your boat. And he say, well, me know you're getting home, you have to get in. And he jump off and leave you. And you sit down there contemplating life for a while and you say, I'm going to meet this boy. But eventually you get brave enough, you jump off and you doggy paddle until you learn how to do your breaststrokes and you get ashore. So I grew up with that. I grew up with being able to roam the village. When it's balata season, you roam, you pick your balata, you could go, you get breadfruit all over the place, mangoes all over the place, fruits galore. You grow up understanding that everybody, all the children in the neighborhood, they play after school together. Sometimes we in the sea in the night. And we still joke about this with my friends back home in Speyside that my father would come down by the beach. My father would come down by the beach in the night after 6, after 7 with the skylarking in the water, doing something we call playing cork, where we using our foot to flip over and hit each other in the water.
That was dangerous, you know, boy.
I know it's dangerous because sometimes I get a good foot in your head, eh? But we there in the water in the night, and my father would come down and I ducking and hiding and trying to sneak to get to our side of the beach to go home, because my father didn't play about homework and that kind of thing, eh? Because my father never got the opportunity to go to secondary school. And my mother did not do well because she got pregnant at 5th form. So my parents were strict.
Both parents are alive?
No, my mother passed in 2020. No, 2019. 2019, my mother passed. My father turned 65 a few weeks ago in November. But my parents were strict. They were really strict as in, I remember when we first got a television in the household, and we didn't have cable, we didn't know about cable and so on, is antenna and so on as we had. And then eventually we got direct TV. In my household, you could not watch anything but news on a weeknight. When I tell you about news, between 7 and 8, you're watching news, and then TV lock off. I had to go and do work and study. And I remember some of my parents in the room, and I turning off all the volume on the TV and trying to watch and read lips because you so want to watch some show. And eventually I get a little headphone and I plug it in and trying to listen to the headphone. I'm talking about this is what late 90s, this is at 99 around there. Trying to listen because you have to hide. Because during the week, strictly news. On weekends, you could free up, you could watch TV. When school is out on vacation, you could free up. And that's something my parents believed in. Vacation time,
must be real vacation.
Must be real vacation. So vacation time, you could roam the whole village. Last week before school resumed, you had to come back and start to, they shut down the vacation a week before, you start to read out them books. When in primary school, you know,
it was as strict as that?
Yeah, when the last week before school reopened, that is when they shut off vacation, they return back to normalcy. When in primary school, of course, they give you the bath and a good scrubbing and a purge.
And a purge.
Before we return to school. But in secondary school, the scrubbing wasn't there in secondary school. But in secondary school, last week before the vacation, they wanted to come and start to read up a book. So I used to always find time to read out the literature books and so on before school reopened. So by the time school reopened, I would have read all the literature books I have on the schedule for that term and so on. And that's why subjects like history and lit became the subjects that I fell in love with because of the amount of reading I was made to do. And although my father never went to secondary school, my father is a strong reader. loved to read. But, you know, he was into his Western. So his books were a lot of those Western novels and so on. He will read a lot of those things. And a lot of those Pan-African books. He was into those Pan-African books. So he was the one who introduced me to books like the Black Jacobin and Roots and so on. He was into those kind of books, the C.L.R. James, the Eric Williams books and so on. He was into history and Pan-Africanism quite a lot. And of course, his spare time, he loved his Western novels and Western books. I guess there's a generation of Tobagonians who.
But how they
enjoy
supported
Westerns.
you going to university and tertiary education and that sort of thing? How that was done? The community played a role in that?
Huge role. Because to be honest, that was a challenge. But I grew up with my father taking loans every July, August to buy books. So now when I'm in this position and I see so many people coming to get help with books and so on, I always think to myself, I say, but in my day, yeah, nobody will go into my father just going down Scotiabank and carry the book list and take a small loan and during the term you pay off for the loan. During the school year, you pay off for the loan. In secondary school, for university, I started university in 2005. And I recall going home one night, at that time I was working with TSCT, and I went home and I said to my parents, I said, listen, I'm going off to study and I get accepted to Jamaica. My mother had apprehensions right away, right away, because at that time I was saying I'm going off and study journalism, and because I was fascinated by seeing journalists reporting from Iraq in the Iraq War. So based on my fascination of that, I said, I'll switch from doing anything with politics and go into journalism. My mother said, hell no, you ain't going off and studying nothing because you look like you want to go all over the world in all kind of crazy place to be reporting. No, none of that. But I came home and I said to my parents, look, I want to go off to study. I don't have enough money. So my father said, all right, not a problem. And that's how my family operates up to this day. We have family discussions on everything. So as a child, I always knew what my parents' salary was, what we have money for, what we don't have money for. So I know not to bad beg, or not to make noise of things that we can't afford. And so after having the family discussion, my father and I came into town one day, went by Scotiabank. Scotiabank was right in the middle of Scarborough. I can't remember the gentleman's name, but there was a gentleman there with a sort of high-top haircut. He was the loans officer. We went into the room. So what you come for? My father said to me, turned to me in the person of the loans officer, said, look, tell him, man, what you come for. And I had to produce all the documents from the bank, make my case to the loans officer for a loan. We got the loan as much as the bank was willing to give to us. And I started late that year because that same year in 2005, my grandfather passed that year. So he was buried in September that year. So when I should have started school, I was at home seeing about being with the family and funeral expenses and so on. And my mother saying, well, put it off to next year and so on. But I said no, because I read my mother play a long time. She only boy child. I know mothers and their sons. If she could get me to stay and study at home or do something else, she'd be fine. Going all the way to Jamaica and hearing all of these negatives about crime and so on, she had a challenge there. But we got the loan. I left late September, got into school. When I got into university at Jamaica, registration was closed. The online portals closed. So I had to go to the Dean of Humanities, sit with her and physically beg her to say, look, you have to open this thing up for me, show me grandfather death certificate, show what happened. And she was very, very accommodating. And so I got to enroll. But the thing is, by the time I done pay my fees, 2005, by the time I finished paying the fees, all the money done. All the money done. Like all the loan money done, paying the fees. And I said, but how am I making it past this first semester? But thankfully in January 2006, GATE was introduced. Mr. Manning introduced GATE that year. And sometime later in 2006, I became a recipient of financial assistance. That was the THA's program for university. So between GATE, financial assistance, that helped. But it was people like my neighbor, and I know you want me to call the name, like my neighbor Zod, who, when I come home for holidays, who used to help buy the plane tickets to go back because a plane ticket to Jamaica was always expensive. Sometimes it's $4,000+
Wow.
for a plane ticket just
At that time, yeah.
to get to Jamaica, especially in peak season. So it was difficult, and people like my neighbors will always pitch in to help with money, so food. So now I'll come home from university and meet the freezer, pack up with fish. All them fishermen, when they go to sea, they will say, listen, keep this fish there, keep this fish there, keep the fish, keep this when the son come home and Junior come home, because Junior is what everybody calls me in the village. My father has the same name, so everybody calls me Junior. When Junior come home, make sure you get some good fish brought and things, strengthen me up. And the one reason why I love dry fish to this day, because of course they will send all this smoked fish and so on, which I will pack up and tote back to Jamaica, because you know with the smoked fish, they process it, preserves it for a very long time, and all of that helped me through university. So I will always be grateful to people in Speyside. Always grateful to my neighbors. Some of who are family, but grateful for their deposit in my life. To teachers, people like Miss Shirley and, well, Miss Janine, who just retired. My preschool teacher just retired last week, Friday, at the age of 60. And she has been teaching at the preschool in Speyside for as long as the preschool was in existence. She taught me, she taught my older sister. My sister is now was there teaching with her and so on. So these are people that really led to my upbringing.
Yeah, definitely. We could hear more about that, you know, but we had to go to some other things. And first, they're telling me I have to take a break, which is long overdue. We go for a break.
Light up the Christmas with the best fiber. Surfboard channel switch to Amplia. Thousands in prizes, plenty smart TVs. 1 year free service and free groceries. We surfing with Amplia. We winning with Amplia. We binging with Amplia. We winning with Amplia. Sign up now for 50% off plus a chance to win over $100,000 in prizes. Call 800-4663.
So your car break down.
Oh, no, not again.
And you're worried paying a wrecker could mean a pocket breakdown too. But when you're insured with Tatil, no stress.
Yes!
A Tatil motor policy has lots of benefits that protect your pocket, like free roadside assistance. That's free 24/7 every time, as many times as you need. Tatil, where people are people. A member of the Ansa McCall Group.
At JK Tech, we bring technology to your doorstep. From cutting-edge laptops to reliable printers, we've got it all. Nationwide delivery and a new website for easy online ordering. JK Tech is your one-stop shop for your electronics and computer needs. Carrying top brands such as Acer, Samsung, HP, and much more. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram at JKTechTT or visit jktechtt.com. Quality tech is just a click away. JK Tech. Evaluate your shopping experience, your tech, your way. Call or WhatsApp 383-2651. Shop smart, shop JK Tech.
Don't be fearful or ignorant about diseases. The opportunity to learn how to effectively work with or even reverse sicknesses is here. Do you know someone that is suffering from an illness? You are invited to come and learn in this in-depth, hands-on training program. Call this number and reserve your space in this God-inspired hands-on medical missionary training program going on in Tobago. See you there.
You can now get whatever you need whenever you need it anywhere in Tobago with Tobago. Your meals, medication, groceries, and shopping all delivered directly to you. No more hassle, no more stress. Get the Tobago app today on Google Play or Apple App Store.
That's TAPPOGO and let us deliver to you.
Check our website at www.tapogo.app or call the experts at 494-TOGO and 484-4746. Tobago. Relax. We will get it to you. Tobago's at your service.
Yeah. Hey. Tobago updates. Good morning, Tobago.
Yes, folks, we're back and we continue chatting here with Fali Augustine, Chief Secretary, and Secretary for Economic Finance and Economy as well. So two big portfolios. What are some of the critical areas? What are some of the responsibilities first as Chief Secretary?
Right. So
what that portfolio includes?
So, as Chief Secretary, I want to make us understand that the Office of Chief Secretary is viewed in the law as a division, one of the divisions of the Assembly. The access that the Executive Council constitutes the Chief Secretary and a Deputy Chief Secretary and no more than seven other secretaries. So we could go to a total of 9 secretaries.
That's right. That's what you have now?
No, right now we have 8. Upon the departure of Mr. Duke, we...
Oh yeah, you have 8, you're right. Yeah,
8.
yeah. But you,
so
have you still have 9 divisions.
We still have 9 divisions, right? As Chief Secretary, under the Office of Chief Secretary, we have elements such as TEMA. So I'm responsible for TEMA. I'm responsible for all the security issues that we face within the confines of the 5th schedule, because you will appreciate that security remains a 6th schedule item.
6th or 5th?
6th. National security is a 6th schedule item. So that's like police and army. They are 6th schedule item. But
oh yes,
still,
that's right.
insofar as disaster preparedness and those security issues, we treated those under TEMA, that's under Office of the Chief Secretary. We also have the Planning Department under the Office of the Chief Secretary. So the Planning Department is the department that looks at the budget, plans for your DP and all of that. We also have under the Office of the Chief Secretary the revitalizing of PRDI. So we are pretty advanced with that. I know it was shut down previously, but we are well on our way to resuscitating it in this calendar year. Under the Office of the Chief Secretary, we also have the Chief Administrator and her office under the Office of the Chief Secretary as well. The access that the Chief Administrator works out of whichever division is assigned to him or her by the Chief Secretary. She's currently assigned to the Office of the Chief Secretary at the moment. Office of the Chief Secretary also acts as sort of the umbrella head for some departments such as IT, Information Division is also under the Office of the Chief Secretary. We also look at HR, the head of HR, in terms of HR for the entire public service in Tobago, falls under the Office of the Chief Secretary as well. So it's quite a number of areas under the Office of the Chief Secretary.
What about churches and these related?
Right, they were under the Office of the Chief Secretary, but that vote and that responsibility has been moved to community development, where I thought that they were better placed across that community development as opposed to under the Office of the Chief Secretary. Then I have the Division of Finance, Trade and Economy. Under the Division of Finance, Trade and Economy.
But that's a separate division.
That's a separate division. That's the division that's like the heart. So OCS is like the head and finance is like the heart. That finance pumps the blood into through the system, meaning the money, the finance. So finance is responsible for making releases to all of the different divisions so that they have monies to execute their duties. Under finance, we do have some programs like the BDU, venture capital. We have the trade desk that is being started up at finance. Up at finance, we also have the micro malls around the island, that exist around the island. And doing those build-out. At finance, we do the financial planning for the THA. So we have a strong research unit over at finance that does research specific for the economic development of the island. So for example, it's that research unit that I had do research on the impact of COVID-19, impact on the private business one. So all of that happens under finance. But finance and OCS, if you look at the number of employees, those are the two among the two smallest divisions in terms of the numbers of employees that we.
But you all do a lot and have a lot of overarching reach.
Do a lot and have a lot of overarching reach across this system. Outside of what happens under the office of the Chief Secretary, as a Chief Secretary, I am the head of the Executive Council. I also take responsibility for appointing secretaries. I also take responsibility for managing the affairs at the Executive Council at the central place. But then we have divisions that the access the secretary has general and direct control for. And as I pointed out, we have essentially those, 10 divisions, because between Dr. Faith and myself, we hold on 2 divisions each, but we have 10 divisions in total, with 2 being held by myself, 2 being held by the Deputy Chief Secretary, Dr. Faith B. Israel, and we have the other line divisions for which we provide services to the people of Tobago.
Yeah, and let us look quickly, I don't say quickly, but I want to spend some time with finance first.
Sure.
And let us see what is happening in that division. That division is responsible for venture capital,
That's
BDU,
correct. That's correct.
and these areas.
That's
right?
correct, yes.
What are they supposed to do? What are the big...
Right, so Business Development Unit, both BDU and Venture Capital, they are 2 funding agencies, so to speak, of the THA that provide support to businesses, starting with the SMEs, the small and micro enterprises, all the way to the very large. So let me start with BDU. BDU was actually started by Mr. Hochoy Charles. That program was started by Mr. Hochoy Charles, but continued under Anselm London, and is still happening under my tenure. Over the last 2 years, we have given out over 400 grants. So we give grants upward of $25,000 thereabout, up to $25,000. And on occasion, if it's really a special need, then we go to Exec Council for a variation of that. And currently, that is being revisited to take the amount up to $50,000. So in this fiscal year, that amount will go up to $50,000. And these are grants to small businesses. Recently, we had the BDU officers. I asked them to, and in less than a week of me asking them to, they were out on the streets, going all the way up to the countryside in Lansing, all the way up to Charlottesville.
To do what?
Finding the small enterprises on the roadside and carrying the forms to them and say, look, there is an opportunity that you can expand your operation.
But that is quite interesting because
through this process. So, and that was last week and week before. I told them, I said, listen, you can't stay in the office and expect everybody to come to you. Go out and target the people and get to them and say, look, this service is available. Subscribe and be a part of it. So that's what BDU does. Venture Capital, on the other hand, the much larger enterprise, the venture capital is to support new and innovative businesses, large businesses. Venture capital is empowered to give up to $5 million for a grand business idea. In the past, venture capital has given more than $5 million. The last big project venture capital participated in was that of Comfort Inn. Comfort Inn received $8.5 million thereabout from venture capital for that hotel that you see there. But of course, Comfort Inn, they got other funding. I think that hotel was built for somewhere around $75 to $80 million. So that's a massive project. And what we gave is merely a drop in the bucket. Yeah. But it certainly helped them to be able to collateralize their resources and so on, and go to the banks, the external banks, so get larger funding for that enterprise. So between those two, we support SMEs, and support large businesses. There is a gap in the middle that we're working to close now. And recently, I'm sure you saw the Minister of Trade in Tobago. We had a joint meeting with the business community, Mrs. Gopi Schoon. And the reason for that meeting is because the way the system is structured is that when you want to upscale from a $25,000 grant, but you're not yet at a $1 million range, but you need somewhere in the middle, like a few $100,000 and so on, whether it's to get equipment and so on, the idea is that you should be getting that from the Ministry of Trade. We are working to close that gap in Tobago. And I have some good news for you, because I don't believe that venture capital works as well as it should. I don't believe BDU works as well as it should. No, they do a lot of work. We give a lot of grants, right?
And still BDU have its challenges.
As I said, over the last 2 years, you're talking about over 400 people receiving grants. That's a whole lot of money. That equates to millions of dollars. But does that equate to the kind of strong businesses and a stronger private sector on the island? And the answer to that is no. And so what we're working on right now, I have a team led by Ms. Vernie Shields. And what that team has been doing for me diligently is to sort of bring BDU and venture capital together so that we can move towards having a development bank. What the development bank will mean is that the THA will create an institution external to the THA that will provide all the services from grant funding to loans for the business community, to multi-million-dollar loans for the business community. The THA provides the seed money, and they're able to turn it over, make sure when they lend people loans, businesses loans, that they will pay back the loans. And the mandate is that the development bank should be easier for businesses in Tobago to have access to funding than through the commercial banks. You know how difficult it is for Tobago businesses to really enjoy loans from the traditional commercial banks. Also, if we put everything from the grant funding to loans external to the THA, it means that no politician in the future has any say over or any influence over who gets these grants. Now, as the Secretary of Finance, I don't go down to BDU and tell him, make sure and give Jerry this loan. No, I don't. Right? That has happened in the past, no doubt, but I don't do that. I wait on them to do their process, give their recommendation, but they send it up to me for final approval and then for payment. There will be times I will look through the file and see that they did not recommend, and I will send it back down for them to review it because I saw potential in the thing, that kind of thing. Having a development bank will mean that I, as Secretary of Finance, will be cut completely out of the process. So it's a very a process that does not rely on the executive at all for the awarding of grants or loans, and it becomes a one-stop shop where Tobagonians and Tobago businesses can find support, financial support for their work. Venture capital should be funding the large businesses. Truth be told, when I look at the portfolio...
I wonder if you should say funding or provide equity.
Well, it is really equity, right? I use the term funding because it's a simple way for people to understand. But really and truly, it's equity. Because what happens is that meaning venture capital gives you the funding. When venture capital gives you the funding, they are under certain conditions. Venture capital will also immediately put someone on your board of directors, and that person will remain on your board of directors to provide help and guidance until you repay the monies that you received from venture capital. So it is equity, but I'm just talking funding so that people understand how it works. It's not that you can just walk in and say, I want $5 million and they get it. You have to do your proposal, you have to sit, you have to be interviewed, it's been discussed, the board sit and interrogate the thing, they look at whether it will work in the Tobago space and all of that, and then make a recommendation for the funding of the project. And once
but you know,
there's
so much, there are one or two little issues in, say, like BDU, for example, that little taunting issue. You can't get a loan or grant from BDU, especially if you give buying materials. Like if a man apply, and many farmers told me, raw material, like for building your pen, or to house your animals, a housing thing, you need building material to do that. They're not giving a loan for that.
No, well,
how unflexible it can be.
They give loans or grants for building materials. They weren't giving for some raw materials. So for example, you will get loans or grants for equipment. So for example, if you need, let's say, a hatchery, as an example, or you need commercial blenders, or you need commercial ovens, you get funding for those things.
Equipment.
So you get for equipment.
Supporting equipment, but a basic thing like a housing, to house some of these very equipment that you're not giving no money for that. I find that is so unreasonable and insensitive and unproductive.
It is. So there's a whole of BDU improvement that's happening. So I spoke about.
I hope they address that.
No, that's one of the things being addressed. And if you noted, it's increasing the limit from 25
that
to
is
50,000.
nice. All of that is nice.
It is also changing the requirements so that you're not bogged down by the policy that says we can't give for certain things. It's just to monitor
and
people.
For some long months, they have not given any grant. I don't think they give any grant for the year.
No, grants. No. Oh, of course.
For the year?
Yeah.
All right. Some months ago, they said not a grant given for the year.
No, grants have been given because the files are coming. Remember, I said the files have to come to me to give the final approval, and not just grants, but they also give loans. Now, remember, the fiscal year has only just started. The fiscal year started in October. So this is a new year that has started, and already for this new fiscal year, starting October, I have seen files coming through for loans and so on from BDU. So it has started.
All right, let's get to venture capital, which is another issue. There are people who come to me all the time. I don't know, maybe they feel I have some inroad inside way to these assembly people. But 2 years, one of them almost 2 years, that they applied for venture capital support and can't get any, like the thing not just going anyway. It going from one person to a next person, then the thing ain't reached the investment committee yet, and it can't go to the board unless the investment committee do this, and the investment committee sit down on it, so investment committee a meeting, and then the board went out, and they give an extra 3 months for the board to come back. All this kind of hipsy-dipsy, unproductive response. Where are we going with this thing? So this is a venture capital company, Valley.
So there are people with applications as long as 5 years old or more, right? That
I know about just have been for 2 years.
Have been waiting in the system, and you're right. When you look at venture capital and look at the rules of engagement, it is so stringent that it really locks people out more than it locks people in. And
there are certain conditions that I'm aware of.
I've said to the board recently, I said, listen, for this thing to work in the context of Tobago, you can't treat venture capital the same way it is treated in another jurisdiction or other jurisdictions, because there are some nuances here in Tobago that really and truly that require some flexibility and some bending. Now, as the line secretary, I tried on one occasion.
See, our rotisserie is seasoned to the T. Kicking chicken, masala and jerk roast. Crispy fries made from scratch. Who do you know can't beat that? Or salads freshly cut and packed. When you taste it, you'll be wanting to come back. So come check us out on number 2 Robinson Street, Uptown Scarborough, Tobago. We open on Saturday nights from 7:30 to 11:30 p.m. Monday to Thursday, we're open from 10 a.m. to 9:30 p.m. And on Friday, 10 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. Contact us at 772-7443 and all social media handles at The Rotisserie Factory.
The best place to stay in Tobago is at Thorn's Place with rates starting as low as 200 TT. Call or WhatsApp 745-7306 or 682-8676. We are located uptown Scarborough, 5 minutes away from the port. Remember, at Thorn's Place, our aim is to make your stay safe and affordable. Jimmy's Holiday Resorts has 1, 2, and 3 bedroom fully self-contained apartments located at the heart of Crown Point. Minutes walk to the popular beaches, restaurants, bars, and the airport. Enjoy our amazing amenities such as fully equipped apartments complete with Wi-Fi, AC, TV, and a pool, and a mini-mart on the compound. Call 639-8292 or 8929. Jimmy's Holiday Resorts is your family's home away from home.
So your car break down.
Oh, no, not again.
And you're worried paying a wrecker could mean a pocket breakdown too. But when you're insured with Tatil, no stress.
Yes!
A Tatil motor policy has lots of benefits that protect your pocket, like free roadside assistance. That's free 24/7 every time, as many times as you need. Tatil, where people are people. A member of the Ansa McCall Group.
Tobago Glass Supplies has been a leading name for over 37 years in the glass and aluminum market in Tobago. We provide an extensive range of high-quality, innovative aluminum and glass products for commercial and residential use. Competitive prices with superior and professional services by committed employees who are guided by rigid quality standards. Tobago Glass Supplies specializes in the manufacture and installation of glass and aluminum products that are essential to today's homeowners and the business environment. We are engaged in marketing, sales, and installation of a variety of products. These ranges from windows and doors to necessities such as mirrors for homes and vehicles, designed and manufactured in-house or imported.
Christmas we celebrating, cause B-Mobile they coming with rating. So brace yourself for plenty prizes, cause this season will be your nice. It's the most deals and the most vibes and the most cars and the most price, the most giveaways, the most parang. Having a Christmas season with B-Mobile. I want a Christmas season with B-Mobile. Bring the sorrel every toast to a Merry Christmas. Having a Christmas season with B-Mobile.
Top up, buy a plan, sign up or pay your bills. Enjoy the best Trinbago Christmas. B-Mobile, life is on.
folks, we back. We had a little break in transmission, power outage here. But we back now, and sorry for the little delay. However, we were talking about, Chief, about the BDU.
And I want to clear up that point because I don't know where to go with the wrong idea. So I was making the point that a business came, they complaining to me, they said, look, we applied to BDU, we ain't getting, Venture, we ain't getting through at all. They explained the thing. I wrote to the Venture board. I said, listen, this project is a beautiful project and I think you should invest in it. The board wrote me back to say, look, Secretary of Finance, we don't think that company could manage it. The financials bad. We ain't giving them the money. However, you as secretary can instruct us to give them. I said, these people want to set me up. I said, I as secretary will not instruct any board to give anybody any funding.
That don't meet the criteria.
That would be an overreach from me as secretary. And I wouldn't say they don't meet the criteria. I'm saying that the way the system is currently structured is not flexible enough. The Tobago space and our economy is so nuanced that we have to be flexible, a lot more flexible in being able to reach the people that need the help. But to be honest and to be fair, when I look at the venture capital portfolio and people who will lend money by venture capital, a great deal of them are failing. Right?
Some dismal feeling.
So even with the stringent measures, a great amount
because
of
some of those measures and conditions won't apply.
They won't apply, one, and two. Let me. From my observation, we have a lot of talented Tobagonians. So you, Jerry, might be excellent at making ice cream. You are the best ice cream maker in the whole world. But that does not make you an excellent businessman. So you have a good product that the world wants. But you are not an excellent businessman. So you don't understand the marketing. You don't understand supply chain and logistics issues. You don't understand how to move things to the end user. And so
how to add greater shelf life.
You don't understand how to manage workers and manage people. So you have a great product. On paper, there's a demand for your product. People want your product. We're giving you the support and the funding, but you're still failing because you are not able to carry on with the other parts of the business. You see, the development of the product or the service is only one part of the business. In fact, that might be the smallest part of the business. You and I both know you will walk into the supermarket right now, and you will see on shelf some inferior products that's selling for donkey years and making money and are doing well. You know they're inferior because they might boil a particular pack of rice, and some grain does boil hard and some grain does boil soft. But they're not going out of business. You know why? Because they understand that business is more than just the product. The product and having a great product might very well be the smallest part of in terms of the considerations for your business. And so another area that we're looking at in this fiscal year is how can we do some more hand-holding. Yes, putting somebody on your board is good, but it's proving to be not enough. How do we, when we give you the support, literally grab your hand and help you cross the road and tell you look left, look right? Because right now you're looking up and down, but look left, look right, cross safely and succeed with your business. How is there a way we're looking at? Is there a way we could perhaps take care of some of the logistics and supply chain management issues that some of these businesses are suffering with? So there's a whole confluence of issues that has to be treated with. But the reality is, several of those who have received funding from venture capital are not now doing well, despite having somebody from venture capital on the board over the last 3, 4, 5 years.
That has been one of the dismal failures about it.
That's one of the dismal. So that's one of the reasons why we're looking at the development bank as a sort of a solution, because we have to revisit.
But while you're doing that, you have to do some restructuring or reorganizing of
venture capital too.
Yeah, definitely.
To allow it to be more successful.
I think you suggested putting VDU and venture in one.
So also we have been talking with the CDB Dr. Nichols was in on that conversation as well, who is out there with the CDB. The CDB came here, met with us in Tobago right there at Victory Bruce. We went through some of the things. And what we're looking at is creating more or less a one-stop shop. One door, right? Everything from grants right up to loans. So you walk through the one door.
Investment for now?
And investments.
Okay.
And all of the investments. So before we get to the full bill out of the development bank, having the one-stop shop kind of arrangement allows us to consolidate all the resources, and that because there are times
this entity deal with all the approval processes.
Because there are times that I call BDU, you could ask the BDU folks, I call here at BDU, I call here at Investments in Venture. I say, listen, both of you will come together and meet with this one party. Because there are times that we need both sides to meet with this person. Because the person might have gone through BDU, gotten some help and some support. And they're ready to upscale now to go on the next level. So we need Venture to come. So we need to have left hand knowing what the right hand doing, and a lot more synergy happening between the two, as opposed to just two isolated areas working.
And being a little inflexible sometimes.
We need to be a lot more flexible.
Yeah. We want to move on because we have until 9:30 here. We just talk off air about investments and people talking to me about different things happening and want to do. People in the diaspora, want to do so many things. People are inspired by your leadership and they want to be part of this critical stage of Tobago's development. One of the critical things I think we ought to do that will kind of form the framework to facilitate all these things is to develop like a sustainable plan for Tobago. Something sustainable, so that when rainfall or when the carbo star can't run or you have a disaster, at least what we produce on the island should be upscaled to a better quality, so that at least we can feed us before we start thinking about exporting. We have to come to that step. So what we have to do, whether it's in the agricultural sector, manufacturing sector, and these sectors, we need to have a plan for funding, developing, holding the sectors or the subsectors' hands and moving to another level. It is quite important.
Well, the CDP 2.0 expired many moons ago. If I expired since my first term as a member of the assembly, since in the minority. And so we are actively working on that strategic plan. We should talk about the long-term plan for the island. In so far as foreign direct investment, we actually have a desk set up that is actively reaching out and trying to get investments for the island. We also put out an RFP. An RFP went out. We literally put out a generalized RFP and it will go out again next year. And what the RFP basically said was, you have an idea, you have a proposal for Tobago, then enter it, pitch it, right? And we did get some takers. We have proposals sitting down to do even the port in Scarborough. We have proposals for marinas. We have proposals for medical tourism. We have proposals for cricket stadium. So what is happening with those proposals that we have on the inside? We have teams of experts looking at them, digging through them, because I don't want us to sign off on anything, and it becomes disastrous for the island. It has to be beneficial for the island. And in some of these proposals, I would say the THA and on behalf of Tobagonians need to get equity. Meaning, we're not just facilitating or just say, hey, look, land bill, but in some of those, we need to come in and say, listen, this is a great idea. I want to be a shareholder in anything. Even if it's a minority shareholder, so that for the full life of this business,
even if you give land, there is equity in the
of course. So if you give land, give me a 6% profit every year. And if that happens every year for as long as that business is in existence, then they talk about continuously earning. Because we have to move our funding for our budget away from just dependent on the subsidies from the central government.
That is the big issue.
Move it to the place where we earn a lot more internally within the Tobago space.
And there is a sustainable plan for the island will include.
And so those investment proposals that are coming in allows us some opportunity that we can earn perpetually from these businesses as long as they are in existence and they are doing well.
Yeah. Sea Bridge and Air Bridge, Chief. What is the latest with that now? How are we doing with that?
Well, you will appreciate that the cargo boat should be going down again sometime in this month of December, this Christmas season. I think some maintenance issues.
About 16 days, and one of the main issues because of the cruise ship in Trinidad and the cruise ship in Tobago, and apparently they use the same space to dock.
Well, the challenge is a lot more on the Trinidad side than in Tobago side. Where the cruise ships dock in Trinidad is where the vessel has to dock. The cargo boat has to dock. And the captain of the cargo boat, I understand, does not want to risk docking at the jetty in Port of Spain because the jetty may not be long enough, or it may not be the best place in terms of safety to dock. So that poses a challenge. The scheduling time is also altered. So for example, the cargo boat left Trinidad Monday night at 8 p.m. So it got into Tobago just before 4 a.m. Tuesday morning, as opposed to leaving its usual 2 p.m. and getting in the night. So it left Monday night instead of during the day on Monday, because there was, in fact, cruise ship in the port, and there was one in Tobago, cruise ship in the port in Tobago that particular Monday. This cruise ship season is heavier than last year.
That's been the best for a long time.
Yeah, it's the best for a very long while. So it shows the trajectory is pointing upward. But that also speaks to the fact that we really need to develop the port in Scarborough. And so when my very, very, very good friend, the Prime Minister, came home to Mason Hall to say, look, the Chief Secretary sent me 10 pounds of paper, right? And I'm not agreeing to anything in Tobago. What I basically did was to print off all of the feasibility studies, all of the design work, everything, and send it to the Prime Minister. They have
taken it to what?
To port development in Scarborough. Right, we're talking cargo boat and being able to fix that problem permanently. So I sent them all of the data because in our first year and a half into office, we did consultations. We had the experts go on, you have to go and test for all your wave action, your currents, see what's happening in the seabed, see the depth that's there naturally, where are the best areas to dredge, whether or not there are reef systems to consider.
And what the Prime Minister said, we only have 7 more minutes.
So I sent all the things to him. By the way, all of the data, all of the information, all the design work is on the THA website and has been there for more than a month. So the public can download it because we want to go into a final phase of consultations. And the reason why we wrote the Prime Minister is so that he could call stakeholders together, like Port Authority, Ministry of Works, and all of those that might be related, so that I could bring our experts to share the information, to go through it, give them a chance to go through the details even more. Start with thing, so we could get billing. Because if we have to fix this problem where boat can come with cruise ship here, we have to develop a working port in Tobago. The port we have is just too small. And as I've already said, right now we have 2 proposals of people willing to fund and invest in the port development. So the issue is not getting the money to do the work. The issue at this point is also just moving and getting started. And once we get started on that project, which will be a mammoth project, that will turn the construction sector upside down, because I don't even think we have enough equipment and enough people to do that kind of build out. But that kind of economic activity on the island will move several downstream sectors. And I've already sent the copies to the Chamber of Commerce, because we'll be sitting with them to also go through how they can benefit from that development as well.
Yeah, beautiful. The sea bridge, the air bridge now.
Right, so air bridge, we still have not return to the pre-COVID number of flights, and I don't want to be misinterpreted, because I'm not saying that we have to have exactly the amount of flights we had before COVID. No, I am saying that seasonally and on weekends and times that is high peak areas, we really need to increase the flight load. We have to increase the flight load. The last discussion I had with Caribbean Airlines In November, I spoke with one of the managers there, and I started a conversation about leasing 2 planes. Tobago has done that in the past, and I'm told that based on the data, not even that was able to meet the demand for the flights. But if it is we have to wet lease 2 planes, then we have to. I don't know if I'm at liberty to share in full details, but I'll share just snippets. We do have an active proposal now for a company that will make Tobago essentially its home port, airport, its home airport, an airline, and that has found favor with the executive. So we at the stage now of having the agreement finalized, so we could sign on the dotted line. As soon as we sign on the dotted line, we'll let people know about that. What that agreement will allow for is that we almost immediately will have access to flights, both international and local flights, so that the island can be serviced. If we have a tourism industry that we have to build, it hinges upon the movement of people and getting people into the space.
Relationship with Trinidad, has that improved? We just want a minute to spend on that. Relationship with Prime Minister and so on, that is improving?
Well, those are two different relationships you're talking about. My relationship with Trinidad remains a good working relationship.
Cordial.
And very cordial. Just in the last 2 weeks, I met with 2 ministers. Gopi Schoon first, and then the week after, I met with Gonzalez, Minister of Public Utilities. And a week after meeting with Gonzalez, he was able to get from us a license to be able to build a water treatment plant up in Goldsboro. We made the lands available because it's THA lands. So we made the lands available so the water treatment plant can happen, which means that we'll solve the problem for the farmers in that area permanently, which also means that we will have more water in the pipeline coming between east and west of the island along that Windward Road, and allow Richmond to service going back up towards Roxborough, Delaford, and Goldsboro will now service coming back this way, and Hillsborough sending water even further. And that shows how cordial the relationship is. If it was a petty, ugly relationship with Trinidad, I would have simply say, no, it's THA land, move from here. We have a cordial
so the relationship is improving immensely.
The relationship with Trinidad was never sour, right? The relationship with the Prime Minister is a different story. We have not spoken in a little while.
But you send documents in from time to time.
Of course. And he
responds sometimes.
Right. And I mean, with the last set of documents I sent to him, he responded publicly on air. He hasn't written me back as I took the time to write him. But here's how I view things. We don't have to be best friends, but we need to respect what the law says. So if I keep what Act 40 of 96 says, and they keep what Act 40 of 96 says, then everything will be okay. So for example, Act 40 of 96 says, send Tobago money in quarterly blocks, in front, in advance. If they keep that, which is what the law says they must do, they shall do, we have no problem. We have no quarrel. I don't have to go to court. I don't have to go and quarrel and say, well, you're sending the money late and you're breaching the law. Let us all just keep what the law says. We don't have to be friends. We don't have to knock glass. We don't have to drink. We don't have to hug up. All we need to do is just keep exactly what the law says, and the relationship will remain respectful. But insofar as my relationship with Trinidad, that remains very cordial. Trinidad is our friend. We have a lot of family members living in Trinidad. Every Tobagonian has somebody living in Trinidad. So Trinidad is our friend. That's the short of it. The relationship with the Prime Minister is another story. He will work out whatever he needs to work out in his
But you're still working towards improving it.
Well, of course, and let me be honest, I am not a petty person, so I will continue to engage. If he can't get over his feelings, that's his business. Life too short. I am not going to sleep with him on my mind whatsoever. I am confident that when I lie down and hug up my wife, I am not seeing the Prime Minister's face in my mind's eye. So I have no problems whatsoever with him where that is concerned. And I will continue to write, send correspondences. He's free to respond or not respond. That's his...
I think he will respond accordingly.
And by the way, Section 31 of the Act says that there should be regular meetings and conversations. So the law itself requires that.
Yeah. Final thing, launching of the TPT. Tobago People Party, TPP, yeah.
Right.
TPP,
So I heard a lot of fake news around the place. Number one, TPP, we had the large launch in Scarborough, and it was the largest political meeting in Tobago for the calendar year 2023. Secondly, we have been registered with EBC, contrary to what some people up and down the place talking.
And the symbol has been accepted.
The symbol has been accepted.
Well, they can't register with them without a symbol.
The symbol has been accepted. We have received the notifications from EBC, Election and Boundaries Commission. So we have done all of the legal things that needs to be done. We at the stage now where we're getting all the banking accounts and so on sorted out, you know, with the new FIU rules and so on, financial rules for getting bank accounts. That's a sort of laborious process. Even when you're trying to get accounts as an individual, there's a whole lot of stuff. So we're working through that, and before we get to the end of the year, the bank accounts and all of that will be set up. In January, we'll have the ratification of the Constitution. It has been out to members. We place it online. It's unheard of that political parties just putting their constitution online for people to comment and to sending queries, because we want a very people-centered, people-focused, people-led institution. Given our experience, given Tobago's political experience, whereby you're always finding somebody coming and say, well, I own the party, is my own this, and why I say goes, and I could take it back if I want to take it back. What we have established is something that only the people could take back. Farley can wake up in the morning and say, listen, I'm taking this back, move from here, is my name, is my symbol. That's not going to happen, because we have a people-led institution. The people came up with the name, the people chose the color, the people chose the symbol, the people chose the constitution. Unlike several of the other parties, unlike all of the other parties that was chosen by some small committee or some individual coming up with the thing themselves, the mass of the people come together and say, you decide where is your color, you decide where is your name, you decide where is your symbol, you decide where is your constitution. You can't get better democracy than that. I guarantee you no other party in Tobago was formed like that. All of the others, PNM is probably Eric Williams and a select few that sit down in a dark room and come up with it. The party by Angus, she come up with that by herself. Watson already claimed that he owned the PDP, that is the party. TPP is people's parties. The people come up with that.
All right. We have to, I want you to promise me that we have in another session to deal with some other things, how we're going to transform and work with the public service and other issues in Tobago.
What I will want us to do is to have a conversation early next year, because this year, 2024, we have quite a bit of projections, quite a bit of implementation that we want to do. I spoke about PRDI. We need to talk about town country planning. We need to also talk about how we're going to revitalize and mobilize the public service, right? I have decided that I will get more gray hairs if I have to cuss every time the public service doesn't work the way I want, right? I empathize with the Prime Minister who came sometime recently and quarreled about the people back pay for Christmas and some permanent secretary and so on. Those experiences are universal, but I want to share with you how we will be revitalizing them and mobilizing them and motivating the public service. I want to return to talk about digitization, which is happening in this space, and how we are transforming this space using digital outputs. I want to return up to talk about education and this big thing that's happening now about Tobago-centric curriculum and how that's going to transform how we do education.
And a dual track.
And dual track system, whereby vocational education is seen as just as important as traditional. I was in Roxburgh Sec last week or week before and went through with the team at Roxburgh Sec all the equipment that they're having good use, good working condition, underutilized there, and how we're going to move Roxburgh Sec from just being an ordinary secondary school to an institution that they could get technical education right up to tertiary. All of those things. So I'm coming back.
Please do.
In January. Early January.
Just set your date.
Early January, so that we can go through all of the deliverables for 2024. We create the checklist, and during the year, I will just WhatsApp you and tell you, tick off this one, tick off that one, done. So you'll keep the checklist in studio as we tick off the things.
Okay, I want to commend you on this program that we did here. I really appreciate all the input, and I must say that I've been getting reports that one of the divisions in the units, Office of the Chief Secretary, Pension and Leave, they're dealing with some issues that has been bearing fruit in terms of dealing with people long-standing things and so on. I understand it's getting better and better.
In fact,
so whoever is heading that unit need to be commended, and they say they still have much more to be done.
The thing is, I've asked Assistant Secretary Williams Orr, given that she was one of the top public servants on the island prior to retiring. She was our head HR person on the island, to lead us in that process. So what we're doing is a sort of we're moving to a kind of centralized place where this team knows you're going to get retired. We find the documents wherever they're located, from wherever division, whether they're downstairs in a dark room, downstairs in the assembly building, that CAS put there since when, because we have some public servants who started working under CAS or under Ministry of Tobago Affairs and so on, and now in the THA. Find people documents, get them their gratuities on time. By the way, teachers, we actively working on the increments and so on right now. We just have to make a decision whether we're going to keep a big school repair program or we're going to that big payout increments and gratuities. That's the balancing act we have to do, but it's part of the job.
Well, thanks you very much, Chief Secretary. Thanks very much. And still want to thank those people in your division or Office of Chief Secretary, Pension and Leave. With all the work they're doing, people complain that they're now seen a little improvement in getting the gratuity.
Excellent workers there.
Yeah. You must commend them.
Certainly.
Thanks again, my friend.
Certainly, happy to be here.
And if I don't tell you thanks all the times when you come on, when I was at another place and you come and deputize for me, I want to tell you thanks very much.
As a matter of fact, we can't end the show. Hold on, we can't end the show without the Tobagoans understanding. I must tell you thanks because my foray into media came because of you. I first came on a program as a guest for one of your High Five programs. And then you started having Youth High Five. And then it became a situation where I became the standing host for you when you were unavailable at High Five.
Not High Five, was spot on.
Spot on and so on. Sorry, spot on. And because of that, that is what forced me to go and buy some blazers and things to look nice on the People TV and learn how to wear a suit and so on. So I could cut some threads, as young people say. So thank you very much for those opportunities.
And thanks to you too.
From that place.
Thanks for this opportunity as we continue to enlighten people. Folks, this brings us to the end of the program and the end of this series. Unfortunately, members of the opposition and the minority leader were not very favorable to this approach in getting people to understand the members of the Tobago House of Assembly, regardless of what position you hold. So we want to thank you very much. We continue with other programs on Tobago Updates Television. Look out for many things coming in the near future where we dig deep or even beyond the surface and getting to know a lot of things that is happening in our schools, our environment, and all these other important sectors in our Tobago community. Thanks to you all for all your comments, your criticisms as well, and that makes me stronger. I love that, and we're getting calls from all over the world, literally, about this program and how it is so enlightening and the different takes we take on the different issues that we touch on. Thank you again. See you very soon again on Tobago Updates. Bye.
To wake up and hear me